This video is sponsored by Squarespace, more on that later. Hi friends, my name is Al, or Lilstarnerd. Welcome to today's video. I know that this is not ideal. This lighting, not great. Not much I can do about it. Because we're doing something very specific today, and I need some blank wall. I'm very afraid marker's gonna bleed through. We're doing multiple layers. Today, believe it or not, it doesn't look like it because we're not going anywhere fun, but we're continuing my series on exploring creativity. We've done a couple of different things so far. There's been 3 videos and they've all been really enlightening, and I feel like I've learned a lot. Actually, let me take a step back. The point of my series of exploring creativity is that I have some weaknesses in my art practice and I have some goals, and those weaknesses are holding me back. The ultimate goal of exploring creativity is to create some sort of body of work that I can do something with on a professional level, whether that means put it into a gallery, post some sort of show, whatever it may be. I just want a real body of work as a real artist. So far, most of what I've done as an artist is replications of work, sketchbook level stuff, a lot of stuff that I'm really proud of, a lot of stuff that I think shows my skill and my knowledge, but not necessarily anything that's original to me. This is gonna be something that comes up, and every time I mention this, I get the same comments, so I do wanna say, when I say original, I understand that nothing is original. I'm a full believer that everything has been done before. What I mean by original, like when I say original, I'm not trying to come up with something totally brand new. I just mean something that I come up with by myself without seeing someone else do it first. But yeah, I just wanna do some sort of work that is original and me and professional level and like finalized, finished pieces of work, a body of work that has some sort of theme. The thing is, I'm not good at originality, I'm not good at creativity, I've never done this before, and I have no ideas. I have nothing I really want to say as an artist. I don't believe that you need to have that, but I've been running into this roadblock in the traditional professional art world where they want to see you have a theme, they want to see that you have something to say, and I don't. And so I've been trying to figure out what is something that I care about enough, find interesting enough, that I can make an entire body of work on. That's what I'm looking for. I'm trying to figure out how to make art, really. And I've learned a lot in the past few episodes. I feel like I've progressed a lot, grown a lot, and I have a lot of new ideas. I have old ideas that I know don't work anymore. There's a lot of information in the air, and I need to dump it out. I need to visually and verbally process this all to see where I'm at now, where I need to move forward, because it kind of feels like knowing me, I could just keep making these videos forever, just going somewhere and doing stuff and being like, wow, I'm learning so much, and then never doing anything with it. So I need to kind of touch base with myself. I need to check in with myself. So you and I together are doing an idea dump. We're brain mapping. We're just gonna get it all out. Hopefully you can read from there. Before we get into it, I want to thank today's sponsor. Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. If you don't know, Squarespace is an amazing place for creatives, freelancers, entrepreneurs to represent themselves professionally and stand out online. They have everything you need to make a beautiful, stunning website and tools to support everything you need for your business. You can start designing your website by picking a template. They have a bunch of use cases in mind. So whatever you're looking to do with your website, they have something already made for you that will work wonderfully. But these templates are fully customizable, so don't worry if it doesn't fit your exact specifications. You can use Fluid Engine, which is a drag and drop software essentially, to customize every inch of your website. Add all sorts of animations, form submission boxes, images. It's so cool, and you can really make it so fully unique to you. I've had a lot of fun making my website look artsy and cute and representative of me. Like I said, they also have tools to support your business. So if you have an online shop, you can do that on Squarespace. Whether you sell physical or digital goods or services, whatever it may be, Squarespace has the tools that you need to sell successfully. You can also use Squarespace for in-person sales using it as a POS system. Just connect a Square Reader to the Squarespace app and boom, everything is synced up. Your inventory, sales data, customer data, everything. Squarespace is great, fully customizable. It really does work for whatever you're trying to do, whether it be a portfolio, whether you want to expand a brand or start a business, they've got everything you need. If that sounds good to you, if you want to make your own website, you can go to squarespace.com for a free trial. And whenever you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Lilstarnerd for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thanks so much to Squarespace. Now, let's get back to the brainstorming. So first, let's talk through what I've learned so far. So far, I've gone to the aquarium, John's Pass, and the James Museum. And I've definitely learned something from each place. Some of them are a little bit vague and some of them are definitely like very specific. Like the James Museum, I made quite a few breakthroughs and made some actual real final decisions, which is very exciting. At the aquarium, I definitely discovered that life and movement is really important to me. That's what really textures, that kind of fabric of life is what really spoke to me and really inspired me. At John's Pass, which if you don't know and if you didn't see that video, it's just like a little touristy, locally downtown boardwalk area that I live near. And it's really cute. It's very old Florida. And that's why I was going, was because I really like the kind of old Florida town vibes. That one, I wouldn't say I necessarily learned anything specific. I think mainly what I learned is that like vibes and general interest is not enough for me to make full pieces from. Like I said, at the James Museum, I definitely learned a lot of stuff. I learned that it's really important that I have people in my pieces. I want to add to the conversation. So basically, I want to make art about something that I'm familiar with or can bring something new to the table, as in, I don't want to just like, I don't want it to be I don't want to make art about something that I don't know anything about and I'm just replicating what other people have made. I decided I'm probably going to make these pieces in oil paintings. I learned that lighting and contrast is really important to me and that the pieces with cohesive color palettes spoke to me the most. And this is going to be very important in the next step, which is I want to write out everything that, this is something that I like talked about, I think in the first episode, where I just wanted to explore literally anything I have an even remote interest in. So I want to brain dump everything I find interesting and everything that I learned that I dislike, and then we'll weed through that, taking this stuff into consideration. Interests. So, I mean, literally, I'm just gonna like anything I can think of something that I find interesting, could see myself potentially making art about. I know I like portraiture, queerness is important to me. Fish and the ocean in general. I think simple architecture is something that I often find myself admiring in other people's art. Coming off of this, mermaids, I've always been really interested in mermaids. I love mermaids. Make it gay, obviously. I think also like landscapes I generally find interesting. I don't know if I find them interesting enough to do art about them, but I do find them interesting. Pirates and cowboys, I lump those together for some reason always. Speaking of aesthetics, medieval aesthetics, I love Lady Knights. I love like royal aesthetics. Greek mythology, folklore, I really like those aesthetics. What else interests me? Horror. Folklore is making me think of animals. I don't know if this animals deserves to be up here, but every time I think of folklore, I tend to think of animals. And there have been times that I enjoy having animal motifs. I think I like animal motifs. Like I love animals representing things. Something huge for me is, I think, girlhood, which also ties to nostalgia. I have the whole series where I recreate I like paint my mom's old family photos. Sisterhood, feminism. Also dolls, like I collect American Girl dolls, and dolls have always just been incredibly interesting to me, like throughout history, the importance of dolls. Let me think if I can think of anything else. Do I like anything else? I don't know. Identity. Self. Okay, I think that's good. I think this is a lot of information for me. Let's write down some dislikes just to have in mind for when we sort through all this, okay? So I know that I don't like complicated architecture. I've tried to do it a couple of times because in theory, it seems really cool and like it's impressive to do, but I hate it and it makes me want to die every time I try. Visual clutter, let me write that in here, because that's something that I have continuously identified as something I enjoy in pieces, as long as it's not architecture. I really don't like flowers and floral patterns. I don't know why. Something about it, I don't know what it is. It just, again, kind of feels like too much detail in one tiny thing for me to keep track of. This all tedium. Anything that requires spending way too long on one very specific subject, I'm gonna get sick of. So I know anything that's super tedious, I'm not gonna wanna do. I would also say black and white. I know I'm gonna avoid that for sure. I have my dislikes and I have all the things that I've learned so far. With this information, we're gonna go through and we're gonna narrow down some subjects that I know are not going to work and highlight some things that might work. And we'll talk about why certain things will and won't. Again, let's recap. I know that I want it to be something expansive enough that I can make at least 5 to 6 pieces on. I would love for the collection to be as big as possible, but I also want to be realistic about what I'm capable of. So I'm aiming realistically to settle on 6 to 8 pieces. I'd love it to be more like 10 to 12, but that's a lot. That's a lot to ask for my first collection. So I'm aiming somewhere between 6 to 8 pieces. So it has to be a topic that I have enough to say and enough ideas to have 6 good pieces. Because I'm kind of thinking like I might have a bunch of ideas, like 10, 20 ideas, probably not, and then narrow it down to like the cream of the crop. So I have to be able to have 6 good, solid ideas minimum. It has to be something that frankly, let me add here, research. It's not that well, one, I am lazy, but I'm just like not good. I've never been good at historical based research. It just doesn't stick in my head. Scientific research, no problem. Historical based dates and time periods and vocab, I just can't do it. So anything that is gonna require any sort of historical accuracy, probably not for me, at least for now. Like I said, it needs to be something that I can add to the conversation for. So it has to be something that I have to be able to understand somewhat. I don't have to be an expert on stuff, but I don't wanna come in here and be like, just like in the James Museum, if I were to make art on cowboys, I would just be making art on stuff that I am seeing other artists make. I've never been out west. I don't know anything about the reality of the West. So I won't be, I will literally just be regurgitating information, and that's not what I'm setting out to do here. I also know it needs to be able to incorporate people, because I have definitely identified that not every single piece has to have people, but I think it's gonna be important that I'm keeping people at the forefront of my mind. So with all that in mind, red no, green yes, let's go. Portraiture is an obvious yes. Not necessarily portraiture, but as in people, portraits could definitely be involved. Visual clutter is yes, that's just incorporating something, it's not really a theme. Simple architecture, theoretically, it's kind of like a yes-no. I think it's possible to include architecture in pieces. That's something that I can keep my mind open to. Landscapes, kind of similar, just like as a background, like maybe. Queerness and Make It Gay, honestly, is kind of a no, mainly because I already have the Make It Gay series, and while queerness is very, very important to me, I feel like I talk about it not enough. What am I trying to say? I don't know if I want my first series to be directly about queerness or the queer experience, because I feel like I've already made a lot of art about that, and as much as I enjoy it, I do want to spread my wings a little bit. So I'm gonna put a little bit of yes, but I'm gonna cross it out. I feel like I talk about queerness a lot, and I really enjoy doing it, but I have other things I want to talk about, maybe. Tigers and Cowboys, we're crossing this out for the obvious reasons of historical accuracy, adding to the conversation, etc., etc. I don't know anything real about them except for fantasy versions, and while that is fun, not what I'm doing. Same thing with royalty and knights, just historical accuracy. I also don't know what I would do. Folklore, animals, and like motifs of such. Part of me wants to cross it out because that does require like research and knowledge that I don't have. I don't know folklore on any deep level, but I think like the motif thing and animals like could definitely be something that gets subtly added to pieces without it having to be the focus. So for right now, I'm gonna highlight motifs and cross out folklore as a dedicated subject. Greek mythology, again, same reasons, requires a lot of knowledge, and I have a lot of surface level knowledge as someone who is interested in Greek mythology. I am not smart enough to be making pieces. Fish and the ocean, I've already determined from going to the aquarium, that's a no from me. Mermaids I'm really hesitant to cross out just because well, you know what? That's reason enough. I'm hesitant to cross it out, so we're gonna keep it in. I have a feeling that is not gonna be something that I make a series on right away, but I just love mermaids, and it's really hard for me to tell myself no in relation to mermaids. Horror, I'm gonna say yes, I love horror. There's so much about horror that I love, so much. We're not gonna get into it. I could talk forever, but that's a definite option. I can see there being so many pieces. Again, I will say this does feel like something to do later on in my career when I have more experience, more knowledge, and more resources. Dolls, I'm gonna cross out. I have thought about dolls, and I've basically decided, one, history, research, but also I feel like it would be a little on the nose. Like I would just be painting girls with dolls. Now all of this stuff, this little cluster of girlhood all the way to self is a big yes to me. This is what screams like the loudest to me. Feminism, I think, is a really heavy, deep topic that I'm not confident to discuss, to make art about yet. I'm very interested in feminism. I love talking about feminism. But again, do I have anything new to say? Do I have anything to add? So that's being crossed out, but I do think inherently it will pop up in whatever I do. Same thing with like queerness and stuff. But this cluster seems very intertwined to me. Girlhood, sisterhood, identity, nostalgia, family memories, and self. Because I've already made art about it, and I've retroactively prescribed a lot of these themes onto art that I have made for like applications and stuff, this just feels the safest and the easiest in terms of like ideas and stuff. We've got some good stuff here. We've got some good ideas, and it definitely narrows it down. Just having like a clear idea of like, these are the things that I feel confident talking about, and these are the things that are very alluring and very interesting, but don't waste your time on them. Definitely helpful. Already I feel so much more mentally organized and quieter. I want to now visualize the process. This is something that from the beginning I've said, like, I just don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, what is it gonna look like? What is gonna happen? Like, I literally don't know. And I think that has honestly been a bit of a roadblock for me, just not being able to like picture where any of this is going. You know what I mean? Like, in the same way that I don't know what the final result is or what I'm doing with it, the same fogginess is throughout this entire process. And I think if I can kind of picture what's coming or map out what I'm supposed to do, it'll be easier for me to get started. Right now, it's just a lot of unknowns. There's no clear next step. And like I said, I could just continue brainstorming and doing these exploring creativity episodes forever, but I need to buckle down. So we're gonna think about like what happens next. We'll do process. So obviously, I know we're gonna say 6 to 12. 6 to 12 pieces. I know that I work best from reference. I think I had very high expectations of myself, and I have since come down to earth. And I think I didn't want to use references before, which is just absolutely insane. Or I didn't want to use like direct photo references. I'm gonna make references, however, whatever that means. I'm open to whatever references means, as long as they're my concept and not from the internet. So I think the first thing is obviously brainstorm and thumbnail, 12 plus pieces. And then I have to narrow them down to pick the best ones. I have a bunch of loose thumbnails, vague ideas, narrow them down to the things that I can make more concrete and make thumbnails that I'm satisfied with, and not just like a really basic thumbnail, like a pretty detailed thumbnail, like basically a first sketch, to make sure that every inch of the piece is something I can visualize. Because I do this a lot as well, where I'll make a piece and then I'll be like, there's a lot of blank space here, but I'm sure when I get to it, I'll figure it out. And then I don't, and then I'm unhappy with it. So I'm gonna make sure that I can visualize and plan every inch of the piece. Then, narrow it down to like, what are the strongest pieces? What do I like most? What am I most inspired by? Whatever number that may be, as long as it's at least 6, maybe 5. I don't know, 6, I'm gonna go 6. Then I can move forward, which would be making references. I just think this is gonna be really important. I definitely know I work most confidently and best from a reference. No shame in that. As long as I'm making the references that I can pull, like I'm okay with pulling photos from the internet, as long as by the end of it, you can't tell that something was pulled from the internet. It's fully transformed by my own thoughts and my own ideas and my own work. So I'm gonna make the reference. It can be pieced together from stuff that I find online, as long as it's all manipulated in a way that comes together to be an original piece. Or I could literally just go take a photo if that's what it takes to make the reference. Whatever it means to make a reference, gotta make the reference. Then, once I have references, there's nothing holding me back from making the pieces. So make X amount of pieces in X amount of time. I don't have any idea, like I don't know what size I plan on working in, or how complex the pieces will be, how long it'll take me to make a reference. I have no idea. And I don't know how many final pieces I'll have. So I'm not gonna give myself a time limit at all right now. I'm way too early for that. I probably will wanna give myself some sort of timeline when it comes down to it. And I do know that I work really fast. Proof of that is the self-portrait. The fact that I didn't work on it fast and now it's been abandoned. I'm able to finish stuff when I give myself like a week to do it. So I hopefully, as long as I don't lose motivation or whatever, this won't take super long. I might want to take breaks between pieces because I might be like tired or burnt out or like bored of the process. I don't imagine this taking forever. I don't like spending too long on a piece, so each piece will hopefully be done within a few days. That might be crazy. I don't know if that's actually gonna happen. And then after that is a little bit of a mystery to me. Actually, you know what we're gonna say? During this process, we're also going to research. I'm gonna just use the word galleries as a placeholder for the final destination, which I don't know what it will be yet, but basically I want to research. I haven't done any of this research yet because I've been so far from the end goal that it didn't feel necessary, but I need to do research on like what are the options. When I have a body of work, what are the options to do with it? I know I could theoretically host my own show. If I want to do that, where would it be? Who would I invite? How would that go down? How much money would that cost? I need to get in touch with galleries to find out, would they be willing to host? Would they? I also have to think about like, do I want these pieces to be for sale? Is that a requirement at galleries? That kind of stuff. So I need to do research about that. So while I'm making the pieces, I will also research. And then once the pieces are finished, it will come time for the final destination, which I don't know what that is yet. I do know I want to have some sort of show. I don't want to just do all this work and then be like, okay, look at this photo. Like, look at a page on my website for it. Like, I definitely want to do all this work and I want to have a party at the end. I want some sort of payoff, some sort of validation of like in the traditional art world, not just through this, not just through a website. Like I want, even if it's just family and friends that show up, you know what I mean? I want something to show in the real world for the work that I did. You know, looking at it, there's really only 4 steps. That's not that much work. Of course, there's paintings. I imagine that this process would take like maybe a year, especially because I'm doing oils. They'll need time to like cure and whatever, and then I'll have to varnish, which I've never done before, so that's scary. But I imagine that this will take quite a bit of time. But when I break it down like this, it seems very manageable. Lots of in between, lots of work that goes into each step, but written out, look at all these actionable items. I love it. I also felt very unprepared, like I was showing up without studying for a test. And looking at this, like there are really no resources that I need, you know what I mean? Like I couldn't tell you what I was thinking before, but it felt like I needed like textbooks and this, and like I needed physical things to prepare for this process. Like I don't. Like the only thing I need is like to make art. That's it. Yeah, I feel more mentally prepared now. Like literally writing that out was genuinely so helpful. I feel so much more capable. It feels way more realistic. Final step that I have for myself is I want to write out my hangups. In the same way writing out the process made it seem more manageable, I think verbalizing and visualizing the things that are holding me back will make them seem less scary. Listen, it's about to get embarrassing. I'm gonna be vulnerable here. I'm gonna air my own dirty laundry. It's gonna be embarrassing. Be kind. One of my biggest fears is failure, for sure. Like that is without a doubt one of my biggest hangups throughout my entire art career. Like everything about it has been affected by my fear of especially public failure. The fear that like, what if I do all this work and I get rejected everywhere? No one wants to host my art. You know, definitely rejection, like is obviously, this is something that like I never feel like the idea of rejection holds me back, but it does. Like when I sit here and verbalize it, like immediately the thing that comes to my head is like rejection. Like what if I do all this? No one cares. No one likes it. The whole goal of this is to have a tangible thing at the end. And what if everyone's like, no, we don't care. Like don't bring it here. Like that's gonna suck. Even if I just like lose steam, like that is definitely a possibility. It's something that I've done before. What if I build this up into this huge project and I'm like do all of this work and all these videos and then I just halfway through I'm like, I just don't care anymore. I just don't want to. That's happened before. How do I know it's not gonna happen again? If there's the possibility of that happening, if that does happen, is it worth it to even start? I've always been really afraid of like disappointing people. People think that I have a certain level of skill, and I think I have a certain level of skill. But what if I do all this work and the paintings end up being really bad and ugly and people are like, oh, okay, you suck. Like, I'm afraid of not being able to follow through and making these empty promises to people that I'm gonna do something and then I don't. And then, like, I don't wanna disappoint people. I don't want people to like see me fail and see me not follow through. And I don't want them to like expect something of me and I can't deliver. You know, I am afraid to oversell myself. I think that's part of the reason that I am always so hard on myself. Like people are always like, you know, they get on me for being too hard on myself. And I think part of it is that I do like to undersell myself, because if I keep expectations low, then I can't disappoint people. Another thing that is a hang up for me is the photo reference. You know, I definitely have identified that I need a photo reference, and that can be frustrating. That is a logistical hang up, because like, what if I have a really great idea and I just can't acquire or make a reference to do that piece? Like, what if that is impossible or out of my means? It is just a logistical issue for me, and it has been throughout my entire art process. Sometimes it means I make bad art because I don't have a photo reference. Sometimes it means that I can't make art at all because I get stage fright. Like I can't bring myself to do anything without the aid of a reference. This also leads to the insecurity of not feeling original enough and not creative enough. You know, original is a word that I come back to often in a lot of my videos. It's a major hang up for me, the desire to be original and make something myself. It is really hard for me and it's something that I want to get better at. But then it's like I ask myself, like, how original do I need to be? I never feel original enough. Like, what would be original enough for me to be satisfied? With the photo reference, I often feel that I get really repetitive. I feel like a lot of my art is the same, whether it's because I'm literally repetitive, copying someone else, or because I'm copying myself all the time. From that, I no artistic voice. I mean, that is the definition of hang up. Like, that's why this whole thing started, was I was trying to apply to some different local opportunities, and I kept running into this problem that they wanted some sort of artist voice. You know, you have the artist statement, and they always wanted proof that you're working towards something, and you have a message, and you have an artist voice, and you have a perspective, and you're inspiring change in some way. And I don't, you know what I mean? I don't feel the need to do any of that or have any of that. I just like making art, and I think I'm good at it, and to me that's enough. But not having this artistic voice and like doing those applications, being rejected, not even being able to apply at all because I didn't have these qualifications or an artistic voice, it was very humbling and very frustrating, and it's what inspired this whole process. And so I think this is the ultimate hang up. Like, no artistic voice is literally the reason we're here. Ultimately, all of this is about insecurity. Like, I think that's what all of this boils down to, is I just feel like I'm not a good enough artist, you know? I'm not a real artist, you know? Like, especially being online so much. It's really easy to be a professional here. What if I go into the real art world and I'm told you're not good enough at all? Like, you've been playing toddler games before. This is the big leagues and you're nowhere close. Like, that's scary, that's daunting to come from a place where I feel highly regarded and I feel like I have skill and knowledge, to find out that it's all been fake. Like, that is a fear. I think a big thing for me is a fear of losing my potential. Been through this before, where I come onto a scene and I show a lot of promise and people expect a lot from me, and then it comes to proving myself and I can't do it. For as long as I don't do this project, for as long as I put this off, there's the possibility that I could, and I could be really, really good at it. For as long as I don't do it, there's no proof that I can't do it. The second I try, it becomes real, and the chance of me failing is so much more possible than it was before. Not doing it, never doing anything real or trying hard, never doing that means that I never fail, right? I never fail at doing those things. It means I never succeed, but there's still the chance that I could succeed. There's still the promise. I show a lot of promise that I could succeed. And I think this illusion of potential and this illusion of future success makes me feel better than trying and failing. I think I'm really scared to lose, you know, credibility and respect that I have now by stepping into the big leagues and failing there. I know that won't happen. I know that they're not different worlds. They're just, one's online, one's not. Like, I know that I still have skill, regardless of what other people say. I like what I do. And then finally, we're gonna move over here. I think a big hang up I have is time. A little bit of a different, not as deep or heavy as these other ones, but it is like a big issue. It is something that has definitely like concerned me and has kept me from really doing anything major, is time commitment. You know, it's a lot of time to spend on one project, especially when this means doing a minimum of 6 paintings and not small paintings. Spending that much time on something, I've never done that before. It would be totally new to me and I don't know if I could do it. I've lost steam on other things before. You know, will I be able to keep up the enthusiasm, the passion, the desire to do it? You know, will I find out that this isn't a real passion at all? You know, that's kind of scary. It's finding out that like it's a passion until I have to do a project that requires more than the bare minimum. And then there's also just like the genuine concern of like, do I even have time for this? You know, I currently struggle to balance and juggle multiple projects. This is a huge one. It would require some restructuring of a lot of other things that I do. Is that possible? Is that probable? Is it a good idea? Overall, I think the biggest things that I identify as holding me back, I would just boil it all down to like insecurity. My fear of being able to do it or not. That I think is the ultimate thing holding me back, and therefore it's what I really need to work on. I don't think this is the only reason that I haven't started the project, but if I'm honest, I think it is. Like, I think it's the biggest reason. I think my insecurity, my lack of skills, which I would lump into my insecurities, I think that's the reason. I think that's the main reason, because like otherwise, like, why haven't I just like tried to make a painting yet? You know what I mean? Why not like just make paintings until I find something? Why am I going on these expeditions? I mean, they're fun and they're worth doing. I like them, but is that making as much progress? Is that doing more than just making art would? You know what I mean? Like, is that a more productive use of my time rather than just trying to make art? I think the truth is I'm scared. I'm scared and that's the issue. But I think like logically, like talking this out and seeing it all written out and having it just in my face blatantly, my ultimate reaction to this is like, so? So, okay, you're scared, so? And that feels really good. Like seeing that this is, you know, I have a lot of fears and I think they make sense. I think they're understandable. I think they're rational. I don't think any of this is like crazy of me. But I think like the ultimate reaction here is, why does that mean you shouldn't do something you want to do? Why is maybe I won't be good, maybe other people won't like it? Why is that more important than this is a dream you have and there's nothing concrete holding you back except for you? I'm the only thing standing in my way. Like, I am literally the only thing keeping me from doing something that I really, really want to do. And so from that, from this little therapeutic exercise, from the rationalization of comforting myself, I think the only thing to do next is to figure out what I'm going to paint and just do it. That's the next step. Like literally after this episode, we're picking a topic. It's just like, this has really made me realize it's not that deep. I have a lot of stuff I like. I have a lot of stuff I want to talk about. I know I'm a good artist. I know I'm capable. The steps aren't that complicated. And the only thing holding me back is me. The only logical next step is to just paint. I feel really good actually. This has felt very therapeutic. Next time we talk about this, I'm gonna do some thinking in the meantime. I'm gonna ruminate on all of this, settle on a topic, okay? And when I come to you, hopefully we'll be in the planning stages. If not, maybe another sit down video or talking video like this where we discuss ideas. But yeah, I hope this was so fun and genuinely so helpful. My mind feels so much more clear. I feel like this process is so much more manageable. I feel like I can tackle it. It feels like way less of a really scary beast and more like just the next thing to do. I'm actually just so shocked by how helpful this was. I would really recommend doing something like this if you've got a big project or if you have that same idea of wanting to make original art but you don't know about what. Make yourself a little mind map. This was so fun. This was so helpful. But that's it. That is all I have to say. That's what this whole video was me holding you hostage while I talk about my own thing. Oh, but I hope you enjoyed regardless. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye.